the first woman mayor in Kenya, mayor of Kisumu, became the first elected woman member of parliament in independent Kenya. Thereafter, we've had other women pioneers. We had Julia Ojambo was the next in 1974. The same 74, we have a string of women. We had young Chelagat Mutai, 24 years, elected as a member of parliament. You know, at a time there were no women's network for support. It was, if there were women networks, they were not geared to support political leadership the way today it is. These women braved it and they managed. Let me quickly acknowledge the others. Phoebe Asio of Karachuonyo in 1980, that's when she was first elected. Nyiva Mwendwa to represent Kitui Central, also Kitui West, came in 1974 along with Professor Julia Ojambo and Chelagat Mutai. Anarita Kareminjero, elected to represent Imenti Central. The year is presenting to me as 1974. You can see all these women at a time there were no networks of support. So we are not the first, and we will not be the last to sit down and map out how to attain gender equality. I want to salute those women pioneers. When we came in 1992, we were not the first, and we shall not be the last to seek to be at the table. I am glad that as we talk, because of the women's resilience and organized women's movement, holding hands as sisters and working together, we impacted the constitutional review, and that's how we have the gains in the 2010 Constitution. And that one, even women from the grassroots, Kenya was so sensitized around that time of constitution making. Even our brothers supported us, and it became a done deal. You would have thought after that we would have no other problem. What with Article 27, which proclaims equality, which then prescribes affirmative action, both in policy and legislative measures, as a starting point to bridge this gender gap. You would have thought our issues were done. They are not yet done because of impunity and because of the resistance. Our brothers have been privileged. Patriarchy favors men, while it puts down women. So this patriarchal structure of our society, men don't want to give up, consciously or unconsciously, because they would like to retain that privilege. When we ask for affirmative action, they start saying, women want free things. May I tell you who gets free things? It is our brothers. All the winnable seats, and winnable seats are seats where major party
pambana na ile dhana kwamba wanawake hawawezi kuongoza, kwamba taifa hili limekuwa likipambana na kwamba kuna usawa wa kijinsia katika masuala ya uongozi. Taarifa hii utakuwa unaipata hapo baadaye, lakini kwa sasa tufululize moja kwa moja kwenye mkutano ambao unaendelea kwa sasa, ambapo ni kongamano la kitaifa la wahudumu wa bodaboda kuzungumzia mabadiliko ambayo yanashuhudiwa kwenye kongamano hilo, na ambaye anaongoza kikao hicho na ambaye anazungumza kwa sasa ni waziri wa teknolojia, habari na mawasiliano Joe Musheru. Hebu tumsikize.
You are at over 25 million rides. These rides are increasing per day. Munajua hiyo? That is how many people you are reaching. Hata watu wa broadcasting, do they reach the same? Gazeti pia, do they reach the same? So you are a very respected and respectable sector. Over 6 million people directly getting their livelihoods from you. And then you're supporting over 22 million. See how wengine ni watoto? Meaning almost everyone. You're almost like M-Pesa. All adults are using. ni kweli? So me, I sit here and stand here proud that this sector is reforming and is reformed. You know, every sector has its own people ambao wamepotea. But today we don't even want to talk about them. Because Waziri is the security man, I'm sure he has a lot to say about those people. Mine is to talk about future. Please don't come together the way you are and settle. One of the dreams we had and we were discussing with your chair, your president, and the regional people. When are we going to see the BAK tower? Huh? So that now we are coming to say we want to rent this floor. How much? Hata ukiwa nyumbani unapata rent, si ndio? Because you're growing, you're moving to another level. You're opening car washes. You're building your own homes. But you can do even more. You can be broadcasters yourselves. Kwa hizo simu zenu, you can be collecting news. And then you share. You can have a website where you're sharing news and saying what is going on around. Simuko na mambo mengi. So let's look at how we can work together. And nyinyi, you're the ones doing the work. So, because this country is yours, don't take it to the dogs. Listen carefully and make the right decisions. For me, I want to see the PK tower even bigger than that GTC. Nimeona GTC. If possible, maybe you should get a tour, muone huko, muone expressway, muone the development that is going on, and this is across the country. There are videos showing you the developments hata huko Mombasa, but you are there, you see them yourselves, si ndio? Sio ati lazima watu wakuje kuambia development ni hii, munaona. Let me not talk too much. Let me say I'm proud of you. I am proud of your organization, and we will continue to support you every day. Hata ikiwa we are supporting you sometimes in the background quietly, because really the battle is yours, the country is yours, and we are doing this all together to grow a bigger and better Kenya. Sindio? So with those remarks, I want to take this opportunity to invite my colleague and chairman, and I'll ask you all to be upstanding and to clap for him. Waziri.
Asante sana, tafadhali tuketi. Thank you. My brother and my friend, my colleague, our cabinet secretary for ICT and Youth, the Honorable Joseph Musheru, my newfound friend, the Bodaboda sector. And I am happy that today we are all here as leaders from across the country to ensure that we work together hand in hand for the noble cause of reforming the Bodaboda sector, and we are going to do it together. I am so happy that we are now entering a very useful and lifelong covenant that you and us will work together to fully reform the Bodaboda sector. And because of that, I have said this before to Kevin, and I'm saying it again. Now I want to ask Mr. Njega, our Secretary for Internal Security, you will take the register of these officials, and today, before the close of business today, share that register with all the regional commissioners and county commissioners. Now, and tell them, and tell them, tell the regional commissioners, the county commissioners, and the deputy county commissioners that we want them to work with these people and continuously work together with them. And that structure goes all the way to the sub-locations. So from this day forward, for the days that the president will retain me on this assignment, when I arrive in a county and I start having a meeting with the county security team led by the county commissioner, the officials of this organization should also be there. Alafu tukimaliza mambo ya security, wanatueleza pia mambo yao vile yako. They ask us questions, we answer them. We are confident government. There is nothing to hide. We are confident because we are a democratically elected government. We are led by a solid, smart president whom we trust and believe in and know that is doing an excellent job. We are not a government in hiding so that we lie or we do not answer questions we are being asked by our citizens. We are here to answer any questions and face our responsibility squarely as responsible people and responsible leaders. Let me tell you, my friends, after the COVID-19 pandemic, for us in Kenya, the pandemic now we are dealing with is the pandemic of lies and foul language. You know, politicians, do you agree with me? Yeah, a pandemic of lies and foul language. No, political leaders who are just wake up in the morning to lie. They are driving around the country lying. Some of them, you get very embarrassed. They actually say things they don't know because they don't engage with public policy. They never spend time understanding public policy. They never have conversations with the sensible people. Those they keep lying. All over they go, they just lie to Wananchi. Yeah, they want to say things they think Wananchi would like to hear, and not face the truth and the reality of our situation and plan on it. Then they plan the moon. They just bandy figures around, you know. Or they look at you and say, you, I will give you 100 billion. Then they meet the next group down there, you, I'll give you 150 billion. Then they meet another one and they say, you, actually, you look very nice, I'll give you 200 billion. And the other way and so on. No plan, nothing. My brothers and sisters, this country belongs to all of us equally. So let us be responsible and reform this sector. And in reforming this sector, what I like about this meeting is the honesty and the sincerity with which your leaders are speaking. That this affects all of us. You know, when someone comes and says, oh, the government wants to nyanyasa bodaboda people, I ask the question, which government will ignore 2.5 million of its citizens? What we want to do is reform this sector so that it's actually beneficial to all of us. Because, and this is my second point, it takes leadership and courage to do the right thing. The late John Michuki, whom I have had the privilege of my life to succeed as the Minister for Interior, stood firm, and that is how he reformed the Matatu sector. Because it was invaded by everything else. Those days, people said things about Michuki and so on and so forth. But you know, the late John Michuki, God bless and rest his overworked soul in peace. He stood firm and said, we have to do the right thing for the country. That's how Matatus formed SACCOs. Now, these days, actually, I was telling Jau the other day, my friend here from NTSA, that for the last 4 or 5 years, we have almost forgotten mass bus accidents because the Matatus and the buses have organized themselves so well, they're training their drivers. Government is not even your opponent or your enemy. Government is your strongest ally and strongest friend. So, those brothers and sisters of ours, because they are Kenyans, they also are brothers and sisters. It's just that, you know, some of them are totally overcome and they have been consumed by the desire to become leaders. So sometimes they just lie, as a way of trying to convince you to give them their vote. Those brothers and sisters of ours, when they come around and they tell you the things they tell you and so on, please, don't you ever accept some of those lies because they will destroy our country. Secondly, let us be truthful to each other and tell each other things as they are, realistically. We are going to reform this sector, reform SACCOs, even government. I gave this classic example last time. Government would like to even guarantee or provide some support to this sector. When you are organized as a SACCO, your potential is recorded and it's known. It's easier for even government to stand surety for you to get a facility to invest and increase your potential as well. So Let us register in the SACCOs. I love the idea of having a digital register. I love the idea of, the identification that I'm seeing here. This is the way we are going as a country. And ask each one of your friends to ensure that they have registered in the SACCOs. We maintain a digital record. The president has been kind and gracious to us. He waived the fees so that it's easier to access this registration process for everyone. Now let us go forth. I know those are our good people. I have no problem with them. They are fellow citizens of our country. We chose democracy. We all have to be here. None of us is going to wish the other one away. We have to continue living together with them. But please ask them to be at least honest on some of these things. Our focus as government is to help this sector move forward. My last point before I request a closed session is this. For the years I've been in cabinet, in public life, served in 3 other ministries before. Public sector reform is the tough thing. It takes, as I said, courage and focus. If Michuki did not stand firm the way he did, we will not be enjoying a lot of the things that we are enjoying today. Go to Nairobi here and see Michuki Park. When John Michuki said he's going to clean Nairobi River, plant up and create that park, everybody laughed at him and said it was not going to happen. But because he was determined, he said this is the right thing for the people who live in this part of our country. It happened. We too can do that, because everywhere I've been and every time I've attempted to push public sector reform, sometimes tumepigana. And in most cases, or in all cases, personally I've insisted, as long as we have all agreed and my president has signed off on that particular public sector policy reform, and we are all sure that what we are doing is the right thing, I'll stay the course, come what may, because it's good for the country. My good friends from the media know that some time back we had a little bit of a challenge together, we even switched off TVs, but look where we are today. I think everyone is happy, and we're happy. We are happy. I was at the Ministry of Education when everyone told me you can't fight examination cheating and so on. I said, at least let's try. And we've kept moving. In this particular sector, this Bodaboda, I believe it. First, I believe in my president, and what he wants to do in reorganizing the Bodaboda sector is the right thing. And as his Minister for Interior, I will be the first one to queue behind that decision. And working with my colleague Joe Musheru and my other colleagues in government, and all of you wonderful people, let us take the course and reform this sector. We will all be happy. We will all be happy. So, I love everything I had here. We could stand up and leave from your leaders. Brilliant speeches. Your leaders said here, good people, we will even be each other's keeper. In the sense that we are the ones who know each other. We will go out there. Those ones among us who are not right, we will point them out. Self-regulation is a critical aspect in society. We even agreed and registered the Media Council of Kenya. We argued that the media should regulate itself, because you don't need a policeman to regulate media. We don't need to regulate you. You can actually regulate yourselves through the circles, so that we work on the regulations. Then we train you, we provide resources to you and support you so that you regulate yourselves. That's how we want to go. That's how we are going to succeed. We don't have 50 million police officers so that we can give every Kenyan a police officer. We trust in your leadership. It is you people who are going to be the carriers of our message of reform. Finally, before I request the closed door session, my brothers and sisters, I want to ask you, I want to make a very humble request to you. I want us to be messengers of peace and stability. Messengers of peace. This is our only home on earth. This is the country that the Lord has blessed us with. We are a blessed people. God has given us a wonderful country and wonderful people in all ourselves. And we have chosen democracy. That's okay. We will argue, electoral contests are just that. An argument about ideas, about policies, and so on. It's okay. Even those ones who come and look at us and say, I'll give you 200 billion, I'll give you 100 billion, it's okay. Even those ones, they have room to continue saying those things they say. Let us all be together and then go through the electoral process very peacefully. So in your respective areas, since you come all the way from the sub-counties, please preach peace, preach coexistence. Let us work together. Having differences of opinion is not an issue. Supporting different candidates is not an issue. That's who we are. That's our way of life. We are Democrats. We chose democracy. We are building an inclusive society where all shades of opinion and all ideas are welcome. And when we have exchanged ideas, we will go home. None of us should rise up against the other just because of elections. And then this sector is going to be critical to us as we go through this process, because I want to request you sincerely, my brothers and sisters, to be ambassadors and messengers of peace. Where there is an issue, come together. You are the ones who will call your groups as their leaders and tell them we must live together. We must work together. Our challenges do not discriminate against us on the basis of anything. They face us together as a people. And we, your leaders, are determined to live that way and lead in that kind of manner. So let's work together, listen to each other, learn to shun violence. If there's a problem even on the road, let us be messengers of peace. We should be the ones to tell our groups, please don't raise a finger against a fellow citizen, as it were. Because we are not going to be a great country if we are not tolerant, if we do not listen to each other. And we are not going to be a great country if we do not speak to each other and take each other's views into account and so on. So let us accept that process of talking to each other, and when campaigns come, let us listen to each other and ensure that we are very peaceful. Our undertaking as government is that we will support the IBC to hold free and fair elections. It is the IBC that conducts elections, not us. Our responsibility as government, especially the executive branch, is to provide support to the constitutional institution called IBC to conduct elections. We will do our part and ensure that the country remains peaceful and stable through that process. Now, I would request you, if you don't mind, especially our friends from the media, Nixon, if I could have a 5-minute closed door session, and I know it's a gentleman who wants to raise up a point. My brother, be patient. I'll give you an opportunity. We are here. I came here to answer your question. I will answer your question. I will not leave before I answer your question.
There's a proposal to give you helmet which are graded for the president and the AG and yourself.
Okay. I am told before they leave, I need to get my own helmet. And today I learned while we are here that my boss, His Excellency the President, is rider number 1. I hope there is a helmet. I hope there is a helmet for Joe Musheru in the process. So which one do we start with?
Yeah, for His Excellency.
All right.
Interior CS Dr. Fred Matiang'i speaking from the Kenya School of Government about the Bodaboda sector reforms, pointing out some of the regulations and steps the government intends to use to streamline the sector. As you can see right now, he's being handed his own helmet, a white helmet there, being assisted by some of the people who have attended that. We will be having a much comprehensive report on the same. Perhaps we're going to see him riding one a little bit later. We have the sight and sounds in our subsequent bulletin. And away from that, Kip Nusu has just completed his duty here as he took you through Tamrini and Kurunzi Mashinani. But now it's time for the news. My name is Bentro Njue. And of course, for now, if you want to be part of this broadcast, you can do that via all our social media platform. And straight to the news, we start with the corridors of justice, where Isaac Robo, the Mandera County government driver who aided the kidnapping of 2 Cuban doctors in the year 2019, has been sentenced to life imprisonment for the first count of commissioning of a terrorist act contrary to Section 4, subsection 2 of the Prevention of Terrorism Act of the year 2012. Robo was also sentenced to 25 years in jail for the second count of kidnapping and hostage-taking, 15 years for the third count of aiding and abetting a terrorist act, and additional 1 year for the fourth count of obtaining registration by false pretense, and 6 months for the fifth count of being unlawfully present in Kenya. His actions led to the death of a police officer who was escorting the 2 Cuban doctors. He has 14 days right of appeal.
The state counsel is not present, and counsel for the accused person is not present. The judgment is ready, the sentence is ready. See you on the 23rd.
The kidnapping also caused the death of a police officer, Mutundo.
And National Assembly on Wednesday, I'm informed we have first of all to cross over. It's the second day Yes, okay. Let's first of all head to Parliament, where National Assembly on Wednesday adjourned its morning sitting following a quorum hitch. The House, which required a total of 50 members for the commencement of business, failed to achieve the requisite number, forcing the Speaker to end the sitting with only 41 members in attendance. The adjournment has interrupted the consideration of 31 bills that had been lined up for debate, among them the ICT Practitioners Bill of 2020, the Children Amendment Bill of 2020, the Poverty Eradication Bill 2020, among others. This afternoon, sitting members are expected to consider the report on the first supplementary estimate for the financial year 2021-2022, as well as the Elections Amendment Bill of the year 2022. We will be having that story a little bit later, but moving on, the government has begun a security operation to flush out herdsmen from the Buffalo Springs Game Reserve, Atan and Aukot areas of Ngaremara Ward, Isiolo County, where frequent retaliatory attacks had caused tension among residents. Isiolo County Commissioner Geoffrey Omondi said a contingent of security team had been dispatched to the game reserve with orders to evict the herders who had defied the government's ultimatum to leave voluntarily by Monday, March 21, 2022.
Isiolo County Commissioner Geoffrey Omonding said the national police officers and reinforcement from other security units are already on the ground with firm instructions to remove the herders and their animals from the game reserve, which is a restricted area.
We had given instructions kwamba wale wafugaji ambao wametoka nje ya Isiolo wao wameondoka Isiolo by yesterday, tarehe 21. So leo tarehe 22 ndio tunataka kuassess kama waliondoka ama hawakuondoka. Wale ambao wamekataa kutoka ndio tuko nayo vile vile tunataka njia ya kuwaondoa, tuambie waende. Wakikataa kuondoa, basi tutaondoa na nguvu.
Omonding alleged that the illegal herders were behind the criminal activities in Ngaremara, including livestock theft and rape cases.
Tunaanza hapa tukienda polepole paka to secure the entire county yetu. Ndio wale ambao wanakuja tunataka kujua nani ndiye anaingia kwetu. Atakuja kukaa kwa muda gani? Kama ni mambo ya kulisha mifugo ama maji, tunajua tuko na madams. Tuko na boreholes. Na hizo boreholes iko management yake. Kwa hivyo lazima tuwe na mpangilio ya hiyo.
The administrator said the operation is to be conducted by a multi-agency team of officers from the Administration Police, General Service Unit, Rapid Deployment Unit, and Anti-Stock Theft Unit.
Ndio tunasema tunatoa hawa, tutaingia hata huko. Hakuna mpaka kwa security. Kwa sababu ni watu wetu wanatumia, Wakenya wetu wanatumia, tutaingilia paka pale, tutawaflash.
The administrator said that the team will make an amnesty call before using force if they fail to comply. Omonding has assured the members of the Ngaremara community that all the stolen animals will be recovered and handed back to the owners. Beatrice Gatonyangetich, Lunchtime News.
And from that security update, we now cross over to the Crown Plaza, where, of course, the Arm Week second day, they are having a congregation there. And currently speaking is CAS Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of ICT, Innovation and Youth, Nadia Abdallah. Let's listen in.
Stories, because I feel like it's about time we now have to report and tell it as it is using our own voices, not other people telling it for us, but our own voices. And even in my job as we are in, I use, and you said YouTube, I use my voice to actually convey stories and speak and report, because I realize also in our country, Kenya, that's what we lack. We lack our stories being told in an authentic way, and sometimes it's because we are limited, and especially if you're a woman in media, you'll be told, we ni mwanamke, how can you write that, or how can you say that? And so I just want to say that I'm so inspired. The energy here, the vibrance and everything, I'm so inspired, and being a woman in media, I'm saying it, I am very, very proud of each and every one of you, and happy 40th anniversary to you all. So that was Nadia talking. Now it's the ministry talking. So on behalf of the Cabinet Secretary, Mr. Joe Musheru, PS Esther Koimet, also on behalf of CAS Rachel Shebesh, she was supposed to be here, but she offers her apology. I want to just speak briefly and really commend everyone for being here, for sitting down, for all the speeches that have been done. And our focus today is women and media as a catalyst for development. And so studies show that societies that embrace gender diversity and expanded opportunities for women and girls in education and work do much better in almost all spheres of development. In addition, research has proven that women's economic empowerment increases their access to economic resources and opportunities, including jobs, financial services, property, and other productive assets, skills, development, and market information. The campaign theme for this year's International Women's Day, Breaking the Bias, presented an opportunity to look at the media as a catalyst for advancing women's empowerment in Kenya and globally. Media is a powerful tool in society that reaches and impacts the masses at large. The media delivers crucial knowledge, information, and updates to citizenry, and great potential to alter their perception on the issues. The print and broadcasting media platform continue highlighting several issues by making information more convenient and accessible. As you all know, media remains a powerful tool for bringing women's rights issues to the attention of the wider public and in sensitizing the society about elimination of practices that affect women, such as FGM, early marriages, and gender-based violence. The media has also been instrumental in empowering women by increasing their participation and access to expressive opportunities. It has highlighted the tribulations of women and children in time of human conflict and war and uncertainty during elections. We have seen the media rise in support of women by providing them with prime coverage, a feat that was unheard of in decades. I laud AMWIC for its work in the past 4 decades in promoting women's participation in the media industry. This has been through training and capacity development and pushing for more representation of women in decision-making table. Let me share something with you all. Studies have shown that most top media managers are male. Not that there's a problem. I just think also women should be there. And at least 65% in Kenya, while women trail at 35%. So ladies and gentlemen, without solid and practical and effective gender-responsive initiatives, women are a disadvantaged gender. They continue to suffer in silence, leading to low performance with time. They blow out of the media or become completely incompetent due to fear. This low performance hampers the place of women in decision-making. I must add that 40 years of existence requires an injection of life to be able to adapt to an ever-changing environment. The launch of AMWIC's new brand, strategic plan, and constitution places it at an advantage for the years to come. We congratulate the women who have been part of the building of the organization into what it is, and the future is safe in the hands of the current leadership. Sexual harassment has been a big challenge for women in media and has been a key factor that leads to more and more women leaving the newsroom. It is disheartening that studies show that Kenyan media is leading in sexual harassment cases in Africa. And I'll tell you something. One of the reasons I started writing very fiercely and very authentically was because when I was 21 in university, I was abused. And so what happened was I used my experience and what I felt and what I went through as a channel to speak to other women. So I opened a portal where women who are in distress, who are being abused, to just talk and seek solace in order for everyone to be able to feel safe. And that's the same thing with the statement that I made, that we are leading when it comes to sexual harassment in media. I just want to tell women that let us not allow that to be one of our silence.
Ministry of ICT Chief Administrative Secretary there, Nadia Abdallah there, gracing the second day of the AMWIC, or the Association of Media Women in Kenya. They are commemorating or celebrating 40 years. Some of the things I've been able to point out are talking about embracing diversity, and especially now that we are heading to the 2022 polls, and also talking about media being a powerful tool, and they should increase their participation and partnership so that they may be able to further and better their lives. And on that note, let's take a quick break, but when we come back, we still have more news, and not forgetting business and sports as well.
Are you an aspiring candidate in the upcoming general elections? Do you want your agenda and manifesto to reach your voters effectively? At KBC, we have the most comprehensive and credible online platform that has profiles of all prospective candidates. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants and let Kenyans know more about you, your past achievements, your manifesto, and your development agenda once you get elected to office. office. What's more, the website is easy to navigate. We will create your profile, post pictures and short videos with your campaign messages at affordable hosting fees. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants today and establish your brand authority as we lead towards the forthcoming general elections.
Ili kupata huo ni upendo kama sikiza tune kwenye simu yako, bonyeza *811*817#.
Sio lazima uwe na hela nyingi ama uwe tajiri mkubwa, uwe na fedha nyingi ndio uweze kumsaidia mtu. Hapana, kidogo utakachopata ama kidogo ulichonacho mgawie, mfanye mwingine pia afurahie. Umpatie tabasamu.
Kupata huo ni upendo kama sikiza tune, bonyeza *811*817#. *811*817#.
Sauti ya Kenya
92.9. Hii ni KBC Radio Taifa.
Kila kitu maishani kina sauti yaleta furaha.
Radio.
Sauti ya elimisha, ya himiza, ya tuleta pamoja. Sauti ya Kenya
Radio Taifa.
Sauti ya Kenya.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me company. Moving on, Kenya Forest Service has today flagged off 45 motorcycles that will assist the service officers in patrol forest in 15 counties. This is part of the Green Zones Development Support Project Phase 2, which is funded by the African Development Bank in collaboration with the Government of Kenya. Speaking during the flagging off, the Chief Conservator of Forest, Julius Kamau, called on his officers to prudently utilize the motorcycles for their designated official duties, and he warned that deviation from the official use of the motorcycles will attract dire consequences.
And even at this time of the time, we have the forest fires. We are urging our forest officers to be vigilant, the communities to be vigilant, to be able to help us complement each other, including our partners, to be able to deal with that problem.
I think the support the government has given us in that way has helped us a lot. Yes, we still need more, but in terms of tractors, lorries, vehicles for all our conservancies, this project has really helped us in a very, very big way.
Elsewhere, 13 arid and semi-arid counties are set to benefit from a landscape restoration program to address food security, human-wildlife conflict, and poor agricultural production. Speaking at the Land Restoration Forum in Mombasa, Agriculture and Livestock Principal Secretary Harry Kimtai said the program will develop a holistic and multi-sectoral approach to the restoration of the landscape in the affected counties. Let's now cross over to the coastal city of Mombasa, where, as you can see, Regina Manyara is on standby to give us the latest from that report. Regina, if you can hear me?
Land regeneration workshop has been underway for the last 2 days, today being the last day, and gracing the occasion is none other than the Principal Secretary Agriculture and Livestock, that is Harry Kimtai. And some of the take home is that going forward, government is expected to roll out a national pilot program that targets matters of land restoration. Among the 13 counties that are to benefit from this particular program include Nairobi, Kilifi, Lamu, Garissa, Taita Taveta, as well as Machakos and Makueni. And also under this program, it's also going to involve our neighbors. This is neighboring Tanzania, where 6 provinces from Tanzania are also going to undertake this particular program. This particular program is in line with matters of climate change and coming up with policies that are geared towards, changing our scope when it comes to matters of climate change, focusing on land restoration, water harvesting, as well as land management systems that are climate change eccentric. We remember that President Uhuru Kenyatta, not a while back, during the COP26, he came out and outlined the vision that he has, or rather Kenya has, when it comes to matters of climate change. So this was a forum that brought together both government officials, institutions, as well as private sector players, including ranch owners, who this particular project is going to be worked out on. These 13 counties fall under the ASALs, and given the current situation that we are having, around 32 counties that are already on the drought alert, experts have come to say that this particular pilot that has already been tried and tested in South Africa might just be the answer to matters of food security. So at the end of the day, this particular pilot is going to receive a nod and a signature approval from stakeholders, and soon is going to be rolled out, and its success actually is going to determine that if the program is going to be expanded to other counties, especially those that are referred to as ASALs Troy. So we'll be keeping tabs on this particular event being the last day, and we'll give a comprehensive report in our subsequent bulletins. I'm Regina Manyara, now back to you, Broadcasting House.
Thanks, Ray, for that report. And of course, 13 counties are set to benefit, as she has alluded there. And Agriculture PS is there to lead that ambitious program by the government to lead land restoration and, of course, address some of the issues like we have seen at the coast, the human-wildlife conflict in as many counties as possible. But 13 are the counties that will start that project. Elsewhere, the male has been challenged to be role model in the family setup and take up responsibility of ensuring the boy child is nurtured to become asset in the society. The challenge coming as more than 90 young men graduated after going through a rite of passage in an event that was conducted by PCEA Murera Church in Juja, Kiambu County.
Joseph Ngatswa, one of the councillors at the ceremony, encouraged men to be available when raising the boy child so that he may have a father figure and a friend to open up to whenever they are faced with life challenges.
Tumelegeza mambo ya ulezi wa mtoto wa kijana, tushikilie mahali pale ambao ni petu. Mahali pale ndio tuweze kulea mtoto wa kijana, mtoto wa kiume, tumulee vile astahili, tuwe mfano mwema, tuwe ndio sisi wenyewe ndio tuwaongoza mambo yote ya huyu kijana. Tusikue ati tumewashilia mama ya watoto ndio anajua mambo yote ya kijana, ya kwamba hata mtoto hawezi kutueleza yale ambao wanapitia sababu hatuna uhusiano na huyu mtoto.
According to James Nganga, one of the boys who went through the initiation ceremony, said they have received enough counseling on drug abuse and good morals, which he says will go a long way in helping them lead a good life.
Wametuguide kuhusu dawa za kulevya na wasichana, about early pregnancies, Ukiona wenye wametumia madawa za kulevya, hakuna what they have achieved in life. Siangalia pesa, lakini angalia huyo msee. Mara ako kila mahali, ako hosi, vitu kaa hizo.
Minor Aspirant urged all his male counterparts to take their responsibilities serious for the sake of the family.
Kwa hivyo wazee wameanza kuona umuhimu wa kunacha boy child na kumpatia mawaidha na kumuelekeza ili awe na kizazi kizuri ambacho mwanaume ataweza kujivunia siku za usoni.
Jelis Aladi for Lunchtime News.
And from that report, let's now shift focus to matters politics. Safina presidential candidate Jimmy Wanjigi has urged the head of state to be a spectator in the upcoming August polls. Speaking at the Sifa Gardens, Kutus, Wanjigi said it's voters who have the final decision on matters of leadership.
Businessman turned politician Jimmy Wanjigi, who has announced that he will seek Kenya's presidency under the Paul Muite-led Safina Party umbrella, now claims that succession politics is a threat.
Stability ya rais ni ensure peace, stability in the nation during his term. Term yake inaisha August 9th, 2022.
Wanjigi has urged Kenyans to reject leaders imposed on them, saying Kenyans should be left alone to elect leaders of their choice.
Tuma mlima Kenya. Hatuwezi kupanga na wengine. Hatuwezi kupangiwa. Maisha yetu kisiasa, maisha yetu binafsi na wengine.
Meanwhile, candidates for the various elective posts in Magarini sub-county will be required to sign a commitment to keep peace during the campaign period. Deputy County Commissioner Peter Thiongo said the sub-county Security and Intelligence Committee had laid down strategies to ensure that this year's election campaigns in the sub-county are conducted peacefully.
Wale wanasiasa ambao wangetaka kutumia nafasi pengine wavuruge amani ile tuko nayo, tumesema na tumeongea kwa kauli moja kwamba hatutawaruhusu wafanye hivyo. Tumeweka mikakati na hata wale wengine, wale sio wanasiasa peke yake, hata wale wengine wote ambao wako na nia kuvuruga amani ile iko kwa sababu ya uchaguzi ambao tuaenda.
Tafadhalini, sisi ambao tunagombania viti, tuongee na wafuasi wetu wafanye siasa ya amani, kwa sababu kule iendako sasa itakuwa ni kila mmoja akodishe vijana wake na yule akodishe vijana wake. Itakuwaje hii kampeni yetu?
Elsewhere, Makima Ward Member of County Assembly Philip Nzangi has warned leaders in some locals in Barra South trying to bring animosity between leaders and locals. Speaking on Ndune Market in an annual general meeting with Makima Tuamundu CBO members, he said those creating the differences are using the money that the locals contributed to facilitate their case on Mwea Land Tassel in a court as an object to create animosity.
Hawa wananchi hawakutoa hizo pesa kwa sababu ni matajiri. Walitoa hizo pesa kwa sababu ya kwenda kujitetea kotini kwa mambo ambayo yanahusu maisha yao na maisha ya watoto wao na vizazi vyao vijavyo. Na sasa watu wengine kuweka siasa hapa ni watu ambao wanataka kuharibu watu na kuweka tension ambayo haifai.
And Umoja Summit Party of Kenya leader Walter Mungare, popularly called Nyambane, has been given blessings by the Midikenda Kaya elders to vie for presidency. Nyambane, who will be vying for the top seat under the Ukombozi wa Majimbo coalition, said he will carry the aspirations of the coast region, which has for a long time suffered marginalization despite being endowed with natural resources.
Mimi kama kijana ambaye nimekuwa katika ofisi ya rais, Uhuru Kenyatta amekuwa ni boss wangu kwa miaka 5. William Ruto amekuwa ni boss wangu kwa miaka 5. Kwa hivyo mimi sishindani na mkubwa wangu William Ruto. Mimi nataka kumuonyesha kwamba nimeelewa vile walikuwa wanafanya uongozi.
Elsewhere, players in the coffee sector fear that delayed rains might further reduce coffee production. Farmers say the coffee bushes are yet to flower and setting base for reduced coffee earnings this year.
Last year, coffee farmers earned 24 billion shillings from coffee sales, representing an 18% growth from 2020. However, players in the sector are a worried lot that the earnings might significantly drop this year if the rains delay.
Whatever needs to be done quickly.
They say this, coupled with increased fertilizer costs, might also compromise Kenya's coffee quality, that might see Kenya's premium brand fetch less in the international market.
We had 50,000 the other year, then you have 30-something this year. Then you see that affects also your market. And what normally would happen is the buyers would start seeking for coffee that is of the same kind as you produce.
Elsewhere, West Pokot County has distributed 381 tons of hybrid maize in readiness for the planting season ahead of the long rains. The devolved units will also distribute fertilizer to farmers to cushion farmers against the high cost of fertilizer that has seen the cost of agriculture production going up.
Na kutengeneza mashamba yao. Wengine wanalima na jembe na wengine ni trakta. Kwa sababu wamesikia na wanajua hii msimu imefika.
Hibak Said for Lunchtime News.
Across borders, Nigeria's crude oil grade Bonny Light is trading at $116.1 per barrel, the second most expensive in the international crude oil market. Nigeria's crude oil price is only trading below Saudi's Saharan blend oil, which is at $118.50 per barrel. Here are the details of this and other stories in our African continent.
Bonny Light's current trading rate is at 6.91% increase from what it traded over the weekend. The international benchmark price, Brent, is at $113.66 per barrel, while the United States West Texas Intermediate is at $110.5 a barrel. According to the Organizations of Petroleum Exporting Countries Secretariat calculations, its baskets of 13 crudes stood at $105 a barrel, compared with $104 the previous day. Nigeria's oil production is struggling to keep up with oil quota at a time they should be raking in billions of dollars. OPEC's monthly oil market report for March 2022 showed that Nigeria's crude oil production declined to an average of 1.417 million barrels per day in February 2022, when it was supposed to pump 1.73 million barrels per day. Meanwhile, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa said restrictive COVID-19 regulations that have weighed on the nation's struggling economy for 2 years would be removed, with the national state of disaster also to end soon. The state of disaster currently regulates the country's COVID-19 rules and has been in place since the onset of the pandemic in March 2020. Its extensions last week until April 15 drew criticism from businesses hard hit by its measures. This change will be of great benefit to the sporting, cultural, entertainment and events industries in particular. Other changes include the removal of a requirement to wear masks outdoors, though these will remain compulsory inside public buildings and on public transport. Business people, scientists and campaign groups were among those to criticize the extension of the national state of disaster. Some argued it was not necessary given infection rates were currently relatively low and past restrictions had not prevented COVID-19 spread. Finally, Rwanda's economy is projected to grow 7.2% this year, as the war in Ukraine is likely to raise inflation by increasing the prices of cereals like wheat. On Monday, the country's Statistics Bureau said that the economy expanded by 10.9% in 2021. Rwanda's economy bounced back after being hit badly by the impact of the restrictions aimed at curbing the spread of COVID-19, particularly tourism and other main sectors. The conflict has added to the trade chaos that followed the global economy's emergence from COVID-19 pandemic lockdowns.
Back home, Malindi Beach Management has launched the Malindi Beach Management Unit program to promote an environmentally friendly town. The plastic waste collected will be used as means to generate income to the residents in the surrounding environs and those taking part in the monthly cleanup of the town.
An estimated 14 million tons of plastic ends up in the ocean every year, as plastic makes up 80% of all marine debris found from surface waters to deep sea sediments, a report by the International Union for Conservation of Nature notes. Malindi town is at the front line of transforming its environs through buying plastic waste collected by the beach and selling them for income. Malindi BMU chairman Yunus Aboud says the cleanup exercise is being undertaken by the youth.
Tuko na mfadhili ambaye uko na hili shirika la kuchukua hizi chupa wakifanya recycling. Kwa hivyo ni faida kwetu huku tukifanya usafi, at the same time tunapata kitu kidogo kwa hizi plastic.
The project, which began last year, is geared at saving marine life. Yunus is urging stakeholders to take advantage of the market and collect any form of plastics, which is another form of income generation.
Ukweli ni kwamba nimefurahi sana kwa vijana kama hawa wamekuwa na bidii kuokota hizi plastic, na ukiangalia ufuo wetu si kama ulivyokuwa leo. Alhamdulillah, ufuo umekuwa msafi kabisa.
Stakeholders from the Progress Welfare Association of Malindi, PWAM, lauded the move to clean the beachfront where a lot of waste was converted into raw material. Jumbojet airline partner Ivan Zowino hailed the efforts of the community, stating that it would help attract tourists, boosting their overall socio-economic growth.
Of course, we are a big player here in Malindi, and besides just bringing passengers, we're also very interested in what we can do with the community here.
Ndutamo Kame for Lunchtime News.
Elsewhere, Kenya is at risk of acute food shortage if the long rains fail. According to Oxfam, families' debt burden will increase in the near future as over half of Kenya's households will continue purchasing food on credit due to the price hikes. The national government has been advised to mobilize emergency resources to mitigate against impending food hikes.
By Oxfam, Kenya has suffered a 70% drop in crop production due to last year's drought, with 3.1 million people in acute hunger and in need of dire aid. The report further states that nearly half of all households in Kenya have resorted to borrow food or buy it on credit due to increased food prices. The government has been warned that the situation may worsen in coming months if the much-awaited long rains fail.
Unfortunately, the first information and result and analysis about the rainy season are not so positive. That's why collectively as international community we need to definitely prepare for the worst case scenario.
The food prices that have been high due to COVID-19 pandemic are expected to further increase as tensions in Russia and Ukraine escalate.
A lot of countries in the region are relying on import of wheat from Russia or Ukraine. But there is also another driver that can have an impact on the situation, and is the price of oil.
If the war persists, Oxfam is concerned that the government national debt might also increase, as the government might be forced to borrow to stabilize food prices in the country.
A rise in food prices and rise in oil fuel, which means that there is more difficulty, so the money that there is to respond to the crisis, so the hunger crisis, is stretched.
The organizations further says food supply chain in the region might be disrupted as East African nations import up to 90% of their wheat from Ukraine and Russia. This is further expected to increase food prices that hit an all-time high last week. In 2010-2011, similar spikes in food prices pushed 44 million people worldwide into extreme poverty, and indications are that the food price inflation happening now will be even worse. Benson Roba reporting for Lunchtime News.
In sports, 5 Kenyan boxers will make their debut in this year's Zone 3 Boxing Championship, set to be held from April the 3rd to 10th within the Democratic Republic of Congo. The Kenyan team, comprising 23 boxers, will leave the country on April 2nd for the regional showpiece.
The national boxing team hit squad has stepped up training at the Madare Police Depot under the watchful eye of head coach Musa Benjamin and assistant coach Dave Munohe. Kenyan pugilists will be aiming to replicate the same performance that saw them bag 1 gold, 5 silver and 5 bronze at the regional showpiece last year. Stephen Olang will be making his debut in light middleweight, Isaac Major featherweight, Anne Wanjiru flyweight, Amina Mother bantamweight and Alice Wayego featherweight.
Ni mara karibu times 3 ya mazoezi ya mtaa. Nafurahi tunapeana moral, kuna teamwork, hawezi hata lalia zoezi kwa sababu ya moral yenye iko hapa ndani. Weight iko sawa kila siku.
Mazoezi imekuwa poa so far coach. Tumekuwa na training poa from our able coaches. Tumekuwa na sessions kadhaa ambazo zimekuwa savia kidogo, lakini tumeenda tukikatch up pole pole. So saizi probably kila mtu sako sawa.
Hit Squad will use the Zone 3 Boxing Championship to prepare for the Women World Championship slated for May in Turkey.
Tumekuwa na muda karibu wa mwezi mmoja hapa tukifutia mazoezi hapa kambi ya kurudi nyumbani, lakini tutakuwa na kitu kama wiki moja hivi ya residential camp ndio tukue pamoja tukielekea kule DRC.
After the World Championship in Turkey, focus will shift to the Commonwealth Games set to be held from July 28th to 8th August in Birmingham, England.
Further afield, world #1 tennis player Ashley Barty has announced he will
The firm is concerned that the government national debt might also increase as the government might be forced to borrow to stabilize food prices in the country.
A rise in food prices and rise in oil fuel, which means that there is more difficulty. So the money that there is to respond to the crisis, so the hunger crisis, is stretched.
The organizations further says food supply chain in the region might be disrupted as East African nations import up to 90% of their wheat from Ukraine and Russia. This is further expected to increase food prices that hit an all-time high last week. In 2010-2011, similar spikes in food prices pushed 44 million people worldwide into extreme poverty, and indications are that the food price inflation happening now will be even worse. Benson Roba reporting for Lunchtime News.
In sports, 5 Kenyan boxers will make their debut in this year's Zone 3 Boxing Championship set to be held from April the 3rd to 10th within the Democratic Republic of Congo. The Kenyan team, comprising 23 boxers, will leave the country on April 2nd for the regional showpiece.
The national boxing team hit squad has stepped up training at the Madare Police Depot under the watchful eye of head coach Musa Benjamin and assistant coach Dave Munohe. Kenyan pugilists will be aiming to replicate the same performance that saw them bag 1 gold, 5 silver and 5 bronze at the regional showpiece last year. Stephen Olang will be making his debut in light middleweight, Isaac Major featherweight, Anne Wanjiru flyweight, Amina Mother bantamweight and Alice Wayego featherweight.
Zoezi hapa ni kwa ni mara karibu times 3 ya mazoezi ya mtaa. Nafurahi tunapeana moral, kuna teamwork, hawezi hata lalia zoezi kwa sababu ya moral yenye iko hapa ndani. Weight iko sawa kila siku.
Mazoezi imekuwa poa so far coach. Tumekuwa na training poa from